Let's talk about the BBC. Donald Trump has rejected the BBC's apology and has raised the stakes in his potential lawsuit, threatening to sue the BBC for $5 billion. This is, of course, after the BBC doctored his January 6th speech in a documentary, deliberately misleading viewers. And of course, a similar edit was found on the network's Newsnight program in 2022. Now, it's interesting looking at Donald Trump's lawsuits. He's already gained $25 million from YouTube, from Meta, $10 million from X, $16 million from CBS and the ABC. But looking at the BBC, I mean, and the reaction to this, so many people are pleased that the BBC is being called out for its bias. Here is former UK Prime Minister Liz Truss.
There are lots of people in Britain who are cheering President Trump on and who want him to sue the BBC because they're a huge problem. They've lied, they've cheated, they've fiddled with footage, both in the case of President Trump, but also covering up what's happening in Britain, whether it's mass migration, whether it's our economic problems. They are always biased towards the left, and the British taxpayer has had to pay for all of this fake news. So there is a lot of excitement amongst Conservatives in Britain at the moment that President Trump is actually taking the BBC on.
Hilary, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, the BBC has certainly been exposed here.
Oh, yes. And I would say Liz Truss is right, and she's right, and she's right. What's very important, I think, for Australian viewers and global viewers around the world, in the US at least, the taxpayers fund PBS, which is the public broadcasting system. And exactly what Liz Truss just said there, the British taxpayer to watch television has to pay a television license. That's what funds the BBC. So if you're funded by the people, you have to be objective so that you represent all of the people. I don't know if you have the similar thing in Australia, but it's a very important point. I mean, networks can be biased. They can be left-wing if they want. And if they want to be right-wing, I think actually conservative is usually very sensible and more moderate than people give it credit for. But in this instance, I would say that, yeah, very importantly, you're paying to have something you don't necessarily want or believe in. And what's more egregious than anything is that the BBC's then, it's one thing to make, in quotes, a mistake, which they didn't do. It was deliberate. But then the apology, Gabriella, was an apology for an apology because they said it was misjudgment. It wasn't a misjudgment. It was a deliberate attempt. And that's what Liz Truss said. And I totally agree with her.
Now, the Oxford Union... Oh, yes, please continue.
Sorry, one last point I didn't make one last point, and that is Donald Trump didn't just beat, remember, the Democrats in the election, Gabriella. He beat all of social media. And this just proves he beat the actual media, too, in many nations because they were against him.
Yeah, clearly against him. Now, the Oxford Union has voted overwhelmingly in favour of declaring Israel a bigger threat than Iran. A debate took place at the Oxford Union Society on Thursday evening, discussing a motion which aimed to declare Israel more of a threat to regional stability. It's interesting, Hillel Newer, the executive director of UN Watch, made the point that Israel does not arm terror proxies in 5 Arab countries. The regime of Iran does that. He also said that in his debate at the Oxford Union, he said that their proposition that Israel is a greater threat to regional stability than Iran struck me as deep satire. But then I recalled that 501 of their members voted to back the student chair who cheered the killing of Charlie Kirk. I mean, that's what I thought of as well, that you had the head of the Oxford Union, I mean, celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. But can I get your thoughts on the Oxford Union voting to overwhelmingly declare Israel a bigger threat than Iran, Hilary?
Well, maybe they didn't, Gabriella, hear about October 7th. I think that Israel obviously was attacked on October 7th. I actually was on a mission invited by the CEO of another network to go with their team and to go to Israel. And one thing that we learned there was Hamas, not only did they attack the Palestinians, obviously funded by and helped by the Iranians, but then that 5,000 actual civilians went in to have fun to murder more people. Now, they actually are exactly the same as the Iranians. I think the Iranians obviously were backing that. They allowed that to happen. They knew that that was happening. So they're culpable as well. And I think this is actually a very despicable vote. It just shows where they're from, and that actually I would say it's very sad for Oxford to see Oxford go this way.
Absolutely. Look, we've spoken about TDS quite a bit on this program, and it turns out it's a real thing. A psychotherapist has revealed that 75% of the patients he sees actually have this deep hatred for Donald Trump, and he's kind of gone into detail of what that looks like.
First of all, identify it for us. You're in a session and you pick up on what? Well, Harris, it doesn't take long for me to pick up on this. People are obsessed with Trump. They're fixated. They're hyper fixated on Trump, and they talk about some of the features of this disorder. They can't sleep. They feel traumatized by Mr. Trump. They feel restless. I had one patient who said she couldn't enjoy a vacation because anytime she saw Trump in the news or on her device, she felt triggered. So this is a profound pathology, and I would even go so far as to call it the defining pathology of our time.
Now, Hilary was speaking about the BBC earlier. I think the mainstream media is to blame here. I mean, when you've got the mainstream media, leftist media, just putting out so much fake news against Donald Trump, plenty of woke so-called journalists compare him to Hitler, compare the Republican Party to Nazis. I mean, no wonder there are people in America that are getting this kind of extreme TDS.
Oh, I totally agree. And I have a prescription actually that will be the solution for this ghastly condition that they have. And that is, why don't they watch some more of Sky News Australia or the other networks I'm on, GB News and Newsmax in the US? They're watching networks like the BBC. And actually, it's a very serious issue because, again, the BBC used to be the bastion of serious, moderate, actually accurate news, and it is no longer. It is the Brit bashing corporation, and they actually have manipulated and misrepresented facts. And so I think that these poor, actually, I feel sorry for these people because obviously they're thinking that the networks are the same way that they were years ago. Watch Sky News Australia. They'll feel much better.
Great advice, very important advice, great prescription, I suppose. Look, I suspect plenty of these people have TDS. A new poll has revealed that 40% of young American women want to leave America permanently. This is according to a new Gallup poll. It found that 40% of women aged 15 to 44 voted in favour of leaving, and 19% of men within the same age bracket agreed with that. Look, I think the same thing. I think surely they've got Trump derangement syndrome and are trying to escape Trump's America.
Well, I've got another solution to that, Gabriella. They should just leave. They'll see what the rest of the world is like. And then they actually should look at statistics, and they should see how many people try to come to America, both legally and illegally. If they don't appreciate the luxury that they have here, the safety that they have here, what nation the US is with all the opportunities, if they don't appreciate it, let them go and let other people that are hungry to work hard and have all the opportunities and appreciate America, they should be let in.
Well said. Hilary Fordwich, President and founder of Strelmark, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure, Gabriella, always.